The capture. The stars stretched out in eternal silence as the Imperial cruiser Talon's grasp glided through the darkness above Earth. Cloaked in refractive stealth tech, it watched from orbit like a predator studying its prey. Inside its cold, chrome-plated halls, 3 containment pods pulsed with blue energy, each holding a woman from Earth. The Galactic Empire had selected these brides carefully, a gift to their emissary court, a gesture of goodwill between worlds. The High Lords didn't care that the humans were taken without consent. They wanted exotic specimens, and humans, with their primitive war history and unique genetics, were becoming a fascination. They hadn't expected resistance. Captain Mia Torres woke first. Her vision flickered as the cryostasis mist cleared from her pod. She tried to move, but the restraints were tight. As her mind sharpened, military instincts kicked in. She scanned the sterile cell. No windows, a sealed door, and across from her, 2 more pods. One opened with a hiss. A woman in a torn lab coat coughed and sat up, wiping condensation from her face. Glasses hung around her neck. Mia recognized her, Dr. Evelyn Chan, renowned biotechnologist. Last seen at an international research summit in Geneva. Reported missing 2 months ago. The 3rd pod cracked open. A muscular woman with close-cropped hair groaned and rolled her neck. Her arms flexed against the restraints, testing them. Her uniform bore faded insignia. U.S. Special Forces. Sergeant Riley Maddox. War hero. Survivor of the Mars Titan skirmishes. Well, this ain't a honeymoon suite, Riley muttered. Anyone want to tell me where the hell we are? Evelyn asked, rubbing her temples. Not Earth, that's for damn sure, Mia said, voice calm. We're in space. Captured. The door opened with a pneumatic hiss. A tall alien entered, 7 feet of gray-blue muscle, plated armor, and bioluminescent veins. Its 4 black eyes blinked in unison. It looked at them like one might examine new tools. Subjects awakened early, it said in perfect English. Curious. Welcome, selected brides of the Empire. You have been honored with the chance to contribute to the genetic future of the Galactic Order. Mia's voice was flat. I don't do arranged marriages. The alien ignored her. You will be treated according to your compliance. Disobedience will result in termination. It turned and left. The door sealed. Hours passed. The room lights dimmed, simulating night. The women spoke in hushed tones, whispering like prisoners of war. I was abducted outside the research dome in Geneva, Evelyn said. Saw a flash, lost consciousness. That was weeks ago. Same, said Riley. Training op on Europa. Woke up cuffed to a slab. Thought I was dead. I was aboard the ISS Dauntless. Last memory was docking near Ceres, Mia added. This wasn't random. They picked us for a reason. Evelyn looked down. They said genetic future. I think they're trying to hybridize. Combine human DNA with their own. Why us? Riley asked. There are billions of humans. Because we're threats, Mia said coldly. We're military, science, survival. They thought they could control us, turn us into breeders. They don't realize what we are. The lights flickered. Mia leaned forward. Listen, we don't wait for rescue. We do what humans do best. We adapt. We fight. We win. Riley grinned. Now that's a wedding vow I can get behind. 2 days passed. They were separated and escorted to different chambers, one-on-one interactions with high-ranking Imperials. All interviews, data scans, emotional profiling. None of the aliens laid a hand on them, but the threat hung in the air like poison. What the Empire didn't realize was how closely the women watched back. Mia memorized guard routines and exit routes. Riley subtly tested the strength of their energy shackles. Evelyn pretended curiosity about their biotech systems, silently mapping the architecture of their gene vaults. And when they were returned to their chambers, they shared what they learned. A plan began to form. 3 human brides had been captured by the most powerful force in the galaxy. But the Empire made one mistake. They thought they'd kidnapped property. Instead, they had locked 3 apex predators in a cage. And the cage was starting to rattle. The resistance within. The walls of the Imperial holding complex pulsed with a dull, sterile glow, like the heartbeat of something artificial. For 3 days, the women played their parts. The Empire wanted compliant brides. They'd get charm, curiosity, and grace. But behind every smile and obedient nod was a hidden edge, sharp as a blade. Captain Mia Torres had learned enough from her briefings back on Earth to know one thing about tyrannical regimes. They always underestimated the intelligent, and they never suspected the beautiful. She wore both like armor. Her handler, a four-armed strategist named Vurax, was fascinated by her. He called her Terran tactical matron, a term that sounded ceremonial but reeked of voyeurism. Each day, he questioned her about human warfare, strategies, instincts. She played along. Humans are emotional, she'd say, giving just enough to stroke his ego. But it makes us unpredictable. In a fight, that's power. What she didn't say was that she was mapping the facility one casual stroll at a time. Every corridor, every shift rotation, every time the guards changed posts. Her soldier's mind was building a blueprint. The Empire thought they were conditioning her for loyalty. They were giving her a tactical advantage. Dr. Evelyn Chan was taken to a biotech lab deep within the facility. They let her see it because they believed her awe made her pliant. And she was awed at first. The technology was centuries beyond Earth's. DNA was sculpted like clay here, entire genomes rewritten in minutes. But beneath the shimmer of advancement was something rotten. She saw in the files they thought she couldn't read. Hundreds, no, thousands of failed experiments. Hybrids, spliced embryos, children bred with no consent, aged artificially, then discarded when they failed to meet imperial standards. When her alien supervisor handed her a sequencing module and said, "We would value your input," she smiled politely and took it. That night, she slipped the tool under her pillow and whispered to herself, "You kidnapped a geneticist. You fools have no idea what that means." Sergeant Riley Maddox was treated differently. Her captors believed she was the most volatile, so they put her in the combat ring. Each day, they pitted her against strange creatures, warriors from distant star systems, trained in exotic martial arts. Riley fought like a beast, controlled and precise. She gave him a show, but every fight was a lesson. She memorized their moves, their weaknesses. When the arena lights dimmed, she pretended fatigue and submission. When they dragged her back to her quarters, she smiled through split lips and bloodied knuckles. She was learning, and she was waiting. Back in their shared quarters, the women debriefed silently. They never spoke above whispers. The walls had ears, the ceiling cameras, the air itself perhaps laced with truth detection spores. Instead, they wrote messages in skin oil on metal surfaces. They tapped codes with their nails. They trained each other in glances and nods, building a silent language forged in captivity. Evelyn showed them how to override a biometric scanner using a strand of Mia's hair. Riley smuggled in a guard's key plate by palming it mid-fight. Mia used it to map escape vectors through the air system. Their goal wasn't just escape now. They'd uncovered something bigger. In one of the labs, Evelyn had found classified records, ancient ones. Hidden files that spoke of time long ago when humans had reached the stars before. When the Empire first encountered Earth millennia ago and labeled it Class Omega, contain or eliminate. Why? Because human DNA was chaotic. It didn't conform. It mutated too fast, adapted too easily. The Empire feared what humans could become if left unchecked. And now, they were trying to harness that chaos for themselves through these women, through forced reproduction and cloning. Mia clenched her jaw. We're not brides. We're livestock. Riley cracked her knuckles. Not anymore. The first step of their rebellion came quietly. Evelyn introduced a recursive subroutine into the central sequencing system. Nothing destructive, just enough to corrupt the latest clone batch's neural pathways. The lab wouldn't know for weeks, maybe months. Riley sabotaged a power node in the combat training arena, causing a catastrophic overload that delayed operations for 2 days. Mia slipped a tracking chip into Vurax's robe, rerouting its signal to a distant mining colony. When he vanished off the grid, The Empire initiated a low-level panic. Security tightened, but not enough. They had learned fear. Late that night, Mia sat in the dark with the others, staring at the vent grate. "We're close," she whispered. "2 more systems down. Then we move." Evelyn leaned back, arms crossed. "You realize if we escape, they'll come for Earth." "They already planned to," Mia said. "We just gave them a reason to regret it." Riley smirked. 3 brides, huh? I say we send back the bouquet, on fire." They laughed, soft and sharp like knives in the dark. The Empire believed they had captured 3 compliant specimens. They hadn't realized they'd sparked a resistance. And the countdown had already begun. Rage and revelation. The stolen vessel was barely holding together as it shot through the asteroid belt of Sector 9 Gamma, trailing sparks and ion residue. Inside the cockpit, Captain Mia Torres gripped the controls with white knuckles, face grim. "Shields are toast," she barked. "Next hit and we're space dust. I'm rerouting power from life support." Dr. Evelyn Chan shouted from the back, elbow deep in alien circuitry. "Try not to breathe for the next 5 minutes." In the co-pilot's seat, Sergeant Riley Maddox was busy calibrating the rail cannons, eyes scanning the tactical display. Multiple bogies dropping off. "Looks like we lost them for now." Mia didn't reply. Her focus was on the coordinates blinking on the navigation screen. Outpost Vesper, a resistance enclave hidden on the outer edge of the galactic fringe. They had escaped the Empire, but their war was just beginning. Outpost Vesper was a hodgepodge of salvaged ships and makeshift bunkers clinging to the surface of a dead moon. The inhabitants, humans and aliens alike, wore patchwork armor, spoke in guarded tones, and carried weapons at all times. As the 3 women stepped off their damaged shuttle, a wave of silence passed through the base. Then whispers. "Are those the brides? They survived?" No one's ever escaped the core. The Resistance leadership met them in a steel briefing dome. A grizzled ex-Marine named Commander Abramson led the council. His mechanical arm clicked as he saluted them. "We've been hearing rumors for weeks. Thought you were dead." "Not dead," Mia said. Angry, Riley leaned forward, placing a cracked data chip on the table. "This is everything we pulled from their labs. Genetic experiments. Human cloning. They're trying to make us useful." Evelyn took a breath. "They're failing. Badly. Their understanding of human DNA is limited. But they're learning. Fast." The council exchanged uneasy glances. One of the alien allies, a scaled diplomat from the Vari species, spoke next. "This information, it confirms what we feared. The Empire doesn't just want humans. It wants to become them." In the coming days, the women trained with the Resistance. They sparred with alien warriors, shared intelligence, and taught Earth tactics. Riley, especially, became a legend among the troops, her combat instincts terrifying even the hardened Vari. But Evelyn was the one who made the most disturbing discovery. She'd been analyzing one of the stolen clone embryos. Unlike earlier versions, this one was viable, too viable. She called Mia and Riley into the lab. "This clone, it's me," Evelyn said, voice shaking. "But with modified aggression dampeners, reproductive control implants, and synthetic loyalty genes. They're making docile copies of us." Mia asked. "No, they're replacing us," Evelyn said. "If we'd stayed 1 more week, they would have killed us and used our clones to negotiate Earth's compliance." Riley stared at the tank, fists clenched. "So we burn it all down." They formed a plan. Mia proposed a deep strike into the Empire's main genetics hub, Sanctum Prime, a fortress world protected by orbital defenses and surrounded by black hole mines. It was believed to be impenetrable, but Mia had studied their systems. Evelyn knew how to trigger molecular destabilizers from inside. Riley could lead a strike team through the security corridors and hold them long enough to plant charges. They had 1 shot, 1 window, 1 war to win. Before they departed, a signal came in, encrypted in an old Terran code. Mia took it privately. When she returned, her face was pale. "That was Earth," she said. "The Empire knows we escaped. They just launched a fleet toward the solar system." Evelyn's voice cracked. "They're retaliating. We have to finish this before they reach Earth," Riley said. or there won't be a home to save. The resistance mobilized. Ships were prepped, armor forged, explosives assembled. As Mia, strapped into her flight suit, a young resistance soldier approached her. "You really think this will work, Captain?" Mia met his gaze with fire in her eyes. "They captured 3 human brides," she said. "Now, they'll learn what happens when you try to chain a species that evolved by fighting extinction every day." She glanced at Evelyn and Riley, already geared up and ready. "We're not brides. We're extinction events." The war wasn't over, but the tide was turning, and humanity was leading the charge. The Empire's regret. The Nightshade, a stolen Imperial cruiser turned resistance spearhead, exited hyperspace with a violent lurch. Before it, the planet Sanctum Prime loomed like a godless monolith, dark and pulsing with energy. Orbiting its black surface were thousands of drones, gravity mines, and living defense constructs. No unauthorized vessel had ever made it past the first ring. Until now. "Time to punch through," Captain Mia Torres said from the helm, her voice low and steady. "Brace for impact." From the weapons station, Sergeant Riley Maddox growled, "Let's knock." The ship screamed forward, its hull shimmering with refracted light. Resistance saboteurs had hardwired stealth tech into its bones. Scrap parts from dead starships. Earth ingenuity fused with alien systems. The Empire's sensors blinked. Flickered. Misread. Too late. The Nightshade breached the first ring of defense before a single alarm sounded. On the planet's surface, Dr. Evelyn Chan was already inside. Slipped in days prior under a false identity, she now stood in the genetic core of Sanctum Prime. Her disguise, an Imperial researcher, was flawless. But beneath the sterile white robes, she carried viral code that could reduce the entire facility to molecular chaos. She watched cloned embryos rotate slowly in tanks of viscous gel. Rows of them, thousands. Some bore her face. Others had Riley's shoulders, Mia's eyes. Behind glass, the Empire was building copies not just of them, but of humanity itself, docile, programmable, and stripped of will. It made her sick. Commencing override, she whispered. Her fingers danced across the console. The virus uploaded. All she needed was time. Above, the Nightshade took a hit. "Shields down," a resistance pilot called out. "Hull breach on deck 3. "Seal it," Mia ordered, pulling the ship into a suicide dive. Turrets opened fire from the surface. Plasma shells shredded the void. Riley grinned. Just like old times. She slammed the trigger. Rail cannons roared. Drones exploded in blazing bursts. Riley stood with 1 foot braced on the console, riding the turbulence like a storm god. "We land hot," Mia said. "Team 2 takes the hangar. Team 1 with me." We hit the tower. Evelyn's in the core, and we're her only way out. The ship screamed through the lower atmosphere. Then, impact. The Nightshade slammed into the Citadel courtyard like a meteorite. Doors blew open. Resistance soldiers poured out, weapons blazing. Chaos erupted. Alarm sirens keened through the towers of Sanctum Prime as guards scrambled to respond. Mia led the charge, pulse rifle on full auto. "Go loud. Clear fast." Riley flanked her, dual blades humming. She moved like vengeance incarnate, carving a path through armored Imperials. "We're here for a rescue and a funeral," she muttered. They fought level by level, carving through squads, drones, and pulse-shielded elites. Mia dropped enemies with clean shots. Riley fought with fury and precision, protecting the team like a wall of steel. Deep below, Evelyn reached the final sequence. She pressed enter. The virus pulsed through the network. Lights flickered. The tanks shuddered. Alarms shifted in pitch from alert to panic. One by one, the clone embryos dissolved into sludge. Genetic matrices unraveled. Data cores crashed. The Empire's decades of stolen research burned from the inside out. Evelyn turned to leave and came face to face with an Imperial Prime Warden. "You've destroyed generations of work," the creature rasped. "You've doomed your species." "No," Evelyn said, voice calm. "I just saved it." She slammed a charge against the wall, triggering a breach. Mia and Riley found her minutes later in the collapsing corridor. Fire raged around them. Evelyn stumbled into Mia's arms, coughing. "It's done," she said. "Everything. Gone." "Then we run," Mia said. They sprinted back toward the nightshade, fighting through waves of Empire resistance. But the complex was crumbling, systems melting down, walls caving in. The virus hadn't just destroyed the lab. It was tearing through the planet's command net. By the time they reached the ship, the sky above Sanctum Prime was boiling with destruction. They launched just as the entire genetic tower imploded behind them. From orbit, they watched the planet die. Sanctum Prime, once the beating heart of the Empire's ambition, was now a smoldering ruin. "Transmission coming in," Riley said. From the Empire, Mia tapped the console. A hologram appeared. One of the Imperial Lords, face grim. "You have cost us dearly, Terrans," it said. "You've won nothing." "No," Mia replied. "We just reminded you what humanity is." She cut the transmission. Back at Outpost Vesper, celebrations erupted. The Resistance had struck a fatal blow. Dozens of alien species, once enslaved or oppressed, rallied behind the humans. Earth was no longer a curiosity. It was a symbol. 3 women had been captured as trophies. They returned as revolutionaries. And the Galactic Empire? They had made one critical mistake. They thought they were taking brides. Instead, they had unleashed the mothers of their downfall.